What's going on, everyone? I am just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about why European leaders seem to be done with Trump. So, as an American, this is a conflict of interest for me because, on one hand, I can absolutely see why you would never want to work with Donald Trump. But, on the other hand, that's very bad for the United States. That's bad for me because if you don't want to work with our president, our leader, then you don't really want to work with the US. So it's just bad for us all around. So today I want to check out this video by TLDR News about how the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, is starting to distance herself from Trump and from the United States. And apparently, a lot of world leaders are starting to do this. So let's take a look at this.
Since Donald Trump's return to office, he and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni have been pretty much best buds. Trump has variously described Meloni as, quote, beautiful, fantastic, and a great leader.
That just makes me cringe. Like, that's such a Trump thing. Specifically, like, the beautiful thing. Like, what kind of world leader, like, comments on people's physical appearance? That's just so unprofessional. It's so creepy. Like saying she's beautiful. Like, that's what Trump. Oh my. Okay. That's.
While Meloni's apparent influence in Washington was the main reason that Politico crowned her the most powerful person in Europe last year. However, in the past week or so, relations suddenly cratered after Meloni, a conservative Catholic, described Trump's comments about the Pope as unacceptable.
Oh. Is that what this is about? I was kind of thinking. Well, for one thing, what sticks out to me is the US war with Iran and how Trump tried to pull everyone else in to help us and shame everyone and demand help, and then Trump insulted NATO and all of our allies and said we don't need you, or that it's just so bad. I thought that was a major thing that probably pissed off a lot of Europeans. It certainly made a lot of Americans upset that, like, he's insulting our allies and ruining the United States reputation. That's been happening for a while now. But this is more about some of the social media posts. Maybe you've seen, like, Trump, like, arguing with the Pope, and Trump posted pictures of himself. He did one where he looked like the Pope, and then he did one recently where he looked like Jesus Christ, like in robes, and like ascending from heaven, and like healing somebody with magic powers or something. Like, yeah, so I could see where that would totally, like, that upset a lot of Americans too, who are very religious, and the Prime Minister of Italy apparently too.
Sparking a furious rebuke from the president. So in this video, we're going to do a little retrospective into the Trump-Meloni relationship, explain why they've fallen out, and how this fits into a wider European trend.
Okay, so it's not just her. It's honestly, this should not come as like a huge shock for like a lot of Americans out there. Like, they're for the last year or like 15 or 16 months now, it's been insanity. Like, perhaps a new level of insanity too. And just the utter disrespect Trump has shown to the American people, for one thing. I feel disrespected by our own president. And just not to mention what he has done to so many countries around the world that are our friends and have been. And So yeah, I don't think he even realized how incredibly stupid it was. Like, just from a strategic point of view, like, from his point of view, he wants people to like him, I think, or he at least wants power. Posting these images of himself looking like Christ or God, did he not think people, especially like Christians, Catholics, would be like very, very, very upset by that in particular? That's a huge disrespect, like incredibly disrespectful to a lot of people's religion.
So, let's start with a bit of context on the Meloni Trump relationship. The two first met in person at a dinner at the Elysee Palace in December 2024, hosted by
Okay.
French President Emmanuel Macron to celebrate the reopening of Notre Dame.
Yeah, what was this 2020? This was back when like at the beginning of his second term, when I think a lot of world leaders were optimistic that they would be able to like get along with Donald Trump. And it's just become clear in the last year that is impossible. Like, even if you try to appease Donald Trump, you literally don't know what he's going to do the next day. If he's going to be your friend or your enemy, or what he's going to say about you, or what he's going to demand. It's impossible to be Trump's friend, really. Like, so I get it.
At the event, they were photographed locked in conversation, and afterwards, Maloney posted this photo on X of her and Trump grinning together. A
Oh,
couple of weeks later, Maloney visited Mar-a-Lago, where Trump described her as, quote, a fantastic woman who's really taking Europe by storm.
that's another thing Trump does, like love bombing, like way over the top praise to try to like get your favor. And then the second he doesn't need you, it's like he will call you all these horrible things.
And Maloney was then the only European leader to be invited to Trump's inauguration in January 2025.
I didn't know
Maloney
that.
was also conspicuously chummy with other senior Trump administration figures. In fact, she was so chummy with Trump's former right hand man Elon Musk that Musk was forced to deny that the two were in a romantic relationship.
I forgot like how Elon Musk was like running part of the White House for like there's been so much insane stuff that has happened. Oh my god.
After describing Maloney as even more beautiful on the inside than the outside in late 2024.
And of course like Trump commenting or no, it was Elon Musk commenting on her physical appearance. Like that's just not it's just so oh it makes us look so bad. Like these American representatives, Trump, Musk, like talking about people's looks, like, oh, she's so beautiful and but she also is very smart. Like it's just cringy.
Maloney is also one of a few European leaders to defend JD Vance after he criticized Europe in his infamous Munich Security Conference speech last year.
Vice President Vance was discussing something deeper: identity, democracy, freedom of speech. In short, Europe's historic role and mission.
Wow. You know, it sounds like she was one of Trump's biggest European allies, and even she has turned away from Trump. Even she's running away from Trump now. Like that's a good example of like cuz it seems like she was a big like supporter and a big ally and that just goes to show you nobody really likes him anymore.
Many pretended to be outraged, calling for European pride against an American daring to lecture us. But let me tell you, as someone who is proud to be European, if those who were outraged had shown the same pride when Europe lost its strategic autonomy, tying its economy to autocratic regimes, or when European borders and our way of life were threatened by mass illegal migration, now we would live in a stronger Europe.
I didn't know about that speech. So she really supported JD Vance after he was like shit talking Europe and then she went up there and said, "Yeah, he's right to say we're terrible, or is she popular?
In that same speech, Maloney argued that, quote, American liberal leftism was being imported into Europe, with the implication that European conservatives thus had an obligation to fight side by side with their American counterparts. To this end, Maloney has occasionally rode in behind Trump on American culture war issues. In October, for instance, she took to X to thank Trump for reinstating Columbus Day. And a few days later, Trump returned the favor by describing Maloney as, quote, a beautiful young woman at his so-called Gaza Peace Summit.
That's so inappropriate. How much he calls her beautiful. Like, what's up with that? Like,
Anyway, originally all of this looked like savvy political maneuvering on Maloney's part. She was able to present herself as a pragmatist who could act as a proverbial bridge between Washington and Brussels, someone who could communicate European perspectives to the White House and perhaps even talk Trump down when necessary.
I suppose, like, from a strategic point of view, this was like a European leader who kind of like was in Trump's good graces, which like Europe could use that strategically. So maybe that was the idea.
Her apparent influence in Washington also gave Italy more heft inside the EU, and helped her position Italy as being on an equal footing with the EU's traditional heavyweights, France and Germany. Domestically, it also screened off other potential Trump whisperers on the Italian right, including most notably Lega leader Matteo Salvini, an ardent Trump fan who's nominally Maloney's coalition partner, but spends a suspicious amount of time trying to outflank her politically. It's also worth noting that Italy has a deeper economic relationship with the US than most other European countries. Before Trump's tariffs, for instance, the US was Italy's second largest export market, after...
I actually didn't realize, like, I didn't know. I think a lot of Americans don't know, like, Italy has such close ties to us, at least with trade and this prime minister.
Only Germany, which meant that Maloney was under a fair bit of pressure to maintain a functioning economic relationship with the US in order to protect Italian businesses. However, in the past couple of weeks, Maloney has suddenly turned on Trump. We first got a sense...
And again, I'll say again, that is so, like, the first half of this video is just talking about how much she loves Trump and is a great friend of Trump and a supporter and, you know, supported J.D. Vance. And now, given the things Trump has done, even she is pissed off at Trump. That says a lot. Like,
I've got a sense that things might be headed in this direction last month, when, in the aftermath of her bruising referendum defeat, Maloney gave a speech in the Italian parliament where she pointedly listed a number of occasions where she had apparently stood up to Trump, including on tariffs, Greenland, and defending Italian soldiers in Afghanistan, who...
So, I don't know. It just feels like something has turned the corner where, like, at the beginning, a lot of leaders were trying to see, maybe we can work with Trump. And then when that became clear, that was not going to happen. And Trump, if anything, Trump has gotten more out of control and insane as time has gone on. Like, so she kind of retroactively was like, well, I didn't agree with him on tariffs. That was a big red flag. Greenland was a big wake-up call for a lot of Americans, too. Threatening Greenland made a lot of us very mad. I don't really know about the Italian soldiers.
would, quote, been defined as useless, a thinly veiled reference to Trump's comments about troops from other NATO members staying a little back in Afghanistan.
Oh, when Trump... Oh, my God. Oh, my God, yeah. When Trump insulted the military men and women who served and died, our allies who died for us in Afghanistan and fought for us.
However, things got significantly testier earlier this week when Trump attacked the Pope on Truth Social.
Yeah.
This provoked a sharp reaction from Maloney, who described Trump's comments as unacceptable, which...
That's so interesting. Like, it just goes to show you, like, for a lot of people, religion is kind of like the hard line. Like, she was willing to accept a lot of the politics and world instability and the threats even Donald Trump had done. But, you know, insulting a whole religion Like that's where she draw the line, I guess, and a lot of people, I think.
which then provoked an even sharper reaction from Trump, who, less than 24 hours later, told an Italian news outlet that, quote, she is no longer the same person, and Italy will not be the same country. I thought she was brave, but I was wrong.
Exactly what, like, that is so typical Trump. Like, the second you criticize him, it's like you were never friends. He's done with you. He will totally turn his back on you. I've seen this before. Wow.
So, what's gone wrong here? Well, obviously, the proximate cause seems to be this ongoing spat between Trump's White House and the Vatican, which actually has quite a long history, but has come to a head in recent weeks.
Yes.
This spat has escalated to the point that Maloney had to sort of pick a side.
Yes.
And, well, if forced to choose between Trump and the Pope, Maloney was always going to pick the Pope.
Yes, that's why this is such, like, I don't even think Trump realizes what a stupid decision to get into an argument with the Pope? To post pictures of himself looking like God? Like, I know he's dumb and crazy, but you would think from a self-preservation point of view, he wouldn't do that. But I don't. He'll do anything, I guess. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's not just that Italy is a very Catholic country, but also because Maloney herself has made a lot of political hay out of her Catholicism. One of
Yeah.
her most well-known slogans, for instance, is Deo Patria e Familia, which translates to God, Fatherland, and the Family.
There
And a
you
couple of
go.
years ago, a clip of her describing herself as a woman, mother, and Christian was remixed into a techno song, which went pretty viral in Italy.
And there's a lot of Christians and Catholics here in the United States. A lot of them were Trump supporters, and I think a lot of them are now really being forced to question that and to choose, just like the Prime Minister of Italy, between like their faith, their religion, and Trump, because Trump has literally insulted all of Christianity. That is literally what he has done. Posted himself as a godlike figure on social media. Yeah, I mean, this is. Who would have thought this would be like one of the biggest blunders? Like such a self-inflicted wound, such an idiotic move.
Giorgia, sono una donna, sono una madre, sono cristiana.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Trump actually posted another edit of a similar clip to Truth Social only a couple of months ago, which goes to show quite how quickly this relationship has deteriorated. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
even if the Pope fiasco is the proximate cause, we see at least two other, more structural reasons behind the recent deterioration of relations. The first is the war in Iran. Most
Yes.
European countries are against the war for a variety of reasons.
This is what I thought would be like the biggest reason right now. I mean, he's done so many things over the past year. Trade wars, tariff threats, taking over Greenland, threatening, making fun of NATO, making fun of European militaries, insulting our allies, in trying to take over Iran and force everyone else to be part of that war when no one wants to be. I would have, but this Iran stuff, that's another huge thing, that a very recent thing.
But Italy is especially so because it's especially exposed to the negative externalities. Not only is Italy a big energy importer, it also just signed a long-term gas deal with Qatar, which has since been jeopardized by the war and attacks on Qatari gas facilities. And its position on Europe's southern border means that Italy would be very directly affected by any refugee crises.
So Italy could be particularly screwed by this, what the US is doing.
This was made apparent in both Maloney's parliamentary address, where she described the war as, quote, a military operation that Italy did not agree with,
Yeah.
and in her recent decision to suspend a long-standing defense agreement with Israel.
I think a lot of Americans don't realize, like, what we have done with the war in Iran, like how much the US has disrespected our allies by trying to force a bunch of European countries to go to war with us when we didn't even tell them that this was the plan. We didn't tell anybody what we were going to do. It's insane. And I'm actually glad to see a lot of European countries really standing up and resisting that.
Second, Meloni's chummy relationship with Trump has gone from being a political advantage to a political risk for her. This is in part because this chumminess just hasn't really achieved anything.
Yeah.
Italy got slapped with the same tariffs as the rest of the EU, and Meloni has been unable to meaningfully influence American foreign policy.
This is where I say it's like a conflict of interest. Like, I'm happy that being a Trump ally is now like a bad thing. Like, it's a bad look. It's a really bad look. But at the same time, that's very bad for the United States because it means a lot of countries don't want to do business with us. You don't want to travel here. You don't want to trade with us. You don't want to invest in the US. You don't want to help Trump or us. So, in that sense, it's very bad. It's very bad for us.
But also because Trump himself has become increasingly unpopular in Italy. And this speaks to a more general European trend. Right-wingers across the continent have started trying to distance themselves from the current White House as it becomes increasingly clear how toxic Trump is in Europe.
So even right-wing, like conservative Europeans, even they don't like Trump. Like, nobody does now. He's really done it.
Now, with stories like these...
Oh, is that the end? That's the end. Okay. Well, this was fascinating. I didn't know a lot of this stuff with, like, Giorgia Meloni, Italian Prime Minister. I mean, this is just an example that even the biggest Trump supporters think he's crazy. And so, yeah, in that sense, this was kind of nice to see, actually. But in the other sense, like, the reality is this is very, very, very bad for the United States. Yeah. But we've done it to ourselves. So what can you say? Hopefully something changes, or I don't know what the future holds for the U.S., but it seems Europe is definitely moving away from us. So it's eye-opening. It's bad to hear, but you know, as an American, you gotta try to be aware of all this stuff because it's hard here. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on all this, or Europe's relations or attitude towards Trump or the US, or that'd be really interesting to hear about, actually. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.